Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? Is Nolan Arenado gonna go to the Mets? Is Yadier Molina gonna go to the Nationals? The Blue Jays, they're interested in someone else. What do you know? Ha-Seong Kim, could he be a fit in Toronto? Mike Zunino going back to the Rays. Anthony Desclafani going to the Giants. We're gonna get into it tonight. Let's go.
Wake up the Don Bambino and have me face him. Maybe I'll drill him in the ass.
All right, what's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? All right, looks like the technical difficulties are gone. I think the microphone's working on this one. Looks like we're good to go. Everything was working fine, then all of a sudden the audio just started crapping out right there. But yeah, it's not the microphone. Whenever I start to sound like a robot like that, where I sound like I'm underwater, it's something with YouTube. So it's definitely not the microphone, because I've gotten this microphone checked out. And yeah, so anyway, but it looks like we're doing okay now. But everyone, how are we doing? 21 people in the chat. Hopefully we can get some more people to come on in as we talk about the news. Hope everyone's having a good day. So before we got started earlier, before that stream just stopped working, we were talking about how I'm really going to start getting into the live streams. really going to start trying to deliver news every single night as opposed to the pre-recorded videos. Seems like the live streams have been going really well lately. So I'm definitely having a lot more fun doing the live streams. I like interacting with all of you. So yeah, expect more live streams. I'm going to shoot for Monday through Friday. And if I can't go live one night, I'll let you know ahead of time. So, but yeah, live streams are just going to be so much easier for me to do. They're easier to set up for. You know, I'm a teacher full time, so just the amount of time it takes to edit and everything like that with the pre-recorded videos, it's just so much time, and the views lately on those videos have not been going very well, while the live streams have been doing very well. So it seems like you guys are more into the live streams. So, alrighty. Let's not waste any more time. Let's just get to the news. The first bit of news. Also, another thing too with the live streams lately, I've noticed I have been forgetting to turn off the music. So I apologize if that's been a bit of a distraction. I'm not sure if anyone maybe liked the bit of background music. I don't know, but I've been forgetting to turn it off, and I apologize if that has been bugging anyone. So it is off now. Anyway, but let's get to the main bit of news tonight. Nolan Arenado, he was all the talk last offseason, it seemed, unless it was Mookie Betts. You were hearing about Nolan Arenado all the time last offseason. It seemed like he was going to get moved, and then just nothing ever happened. But now you're starting to hear these talks come up again. The Rockies, they're wanting to engage with the Mets on Nolan Arenado. So I have some thoughts about this. To be completely honest with you, I just don't think this is going to happen. I don't think Nolan Arenado is going to get moved. If we go take a look, let's go to the article. Let's give credit where it's due. Here we go. So this was according to John Morosi on MLB Network. He is saying the Rockies are hoping to engage the Mets in trade talks for third baseman Nolan Arenado. He's 30 this upcoming season. The only problem with Arenado, let me actually pull up Nolan Arenado. Actually, you know what? Let me go to Rockies contracts, and that way it'll break down exactly what we're looking at with Nolan Arenado. So as of right now, you see, Nolan Arenado. He's got a big contract. 8 years, $260 million, $35 million a year for the next 3 years, or for the next 4 years, and then 32, and then 27. So he's getting it. His contract is more front-loaded, and in all honesty, that's just going to make it that much more difficult to move. $35 million that's a decent amount of money. That's a decent amount of moolah. But the one thing about Nolan Arenado that makes it not just the money that makes it difficult to move. It's also the opt-out that he has. So if we go take a look here, I believe, does it show it here? He has an opt-out. I'm not sure where it says it here. I know he has an opt-out. He has an opt-out after this season. So that's going to make it tricky for teams to want to try and trade for him because, well, why would they want to trade for him unless when they don't even know if he's going to be sticking around long term? So that's the problem. Now, if you can make a trade for him and you can have him opt in for that, for the rest of that contract, I think then you would feel better as a team trying to bring in a Nolan Arenado. I still think Nolan Arenado is one of the better players in the game. He had a pretty down year. Let me actually pull up the stats real quick with Nolan Arenado. A pretty down year, but again, it was a 60-game season, and in all honesty, he still looked pretty good in a lot of aspects. I know he was hurt a little bit, but overall, he still had a 1.6 wins above replacement. I mean, not great by any means. I mean, it is over 60 games, but That definitely was behind, the top players in the game. Not a bad season by any means, just not a Nolan Arenado kind of a season that you're used to seeing. He only had a 738 OPS over those 60 games. How many games did he play? He played 48 games, so he didn't even play the full 60 because he was dealing with some injuries here and there. He had 8 home runs. He hit 253. Now, if this is over a full season, I mean, you probably would have seen a better result at the end of a 162-game season. That is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Like I said, he was dealing with some injuries last year. And just the Rockies, they got off to a really good start at the beginning of the year, and then they just faded down the stretch, and they just weren't a very good team by the end of the season. So now the question is, are the Mets going to want to get in on Nolan Arenado? So this is kind of the problem here with Nolan Arenado is, like I said, he has a lot of money on that contract, and he has the opt-out. As of right now, I'm wondering, would Nolan Arenado want to opt out of that contract? That's a lot of money. I mean, would you really want to opt out of that? Are you going to get more than that on the open market? I think, honestly, let's say he gets traded. Maybe he wants to prove himself. Maybe he thinks, hey, you know what? Maybe I could get $40 million a season. I can get a bit of a bigger contract. Maybe not $40 million, but maybe he can get it up a couple $1 million or something. Have a great season. I doubt. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that he would opt out of that contract. That's a lot of money. But again, but then also, you see these guys these days. They're getting over $300 million. I don't know. He's 30 years old. Is he going to be able to get that big of a contract? Could he maybe sign so right now he's on a 8 years, $260 million. If he opts out of that, let's say he opts out, so 2020, so how many more years does he have? So 2026 is when he's a free agent. I cannot math in my head right now. So after this season, it would be 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So you have 6 more years. So would he maybe sign like a 6 to 8 year deal? I mean, could he get another 8-year deal when maybe push it up to like $280 million? So that's where I'm kind of maybe wondering he's going to try and do something like that. I don't know if he's going to want to opt in with a team. If a team is going to bring in a Nolan Arenado, you have to think the Rockies are not going to get very much. They may have to pay for some of that contract. So, you know what? I think it's a good time to head on over to baseballtradevalues.com. So again, getting back to the article here, it's the Mets that the Rockies really want to engage with. The Steve Cohen has hinted at the fact that they're going to be paying more attention to free agents this offseason than trades, which makes a lot of sense because the Mets don't have too much down in that farm system as of right now, so they don't have too many prospects to kind of dangle in front of some teams. They got some, if I pull up the depth chart here, they do have some pieces that they can pull up. Let me actually pull up here their prospects, the depth chart. So we kind of look, what could the Mets give for a Nolan Arenado? I mean, Nolan Arenado, you got to think his value is not very good right now. It's definitely not at its best. Like I said, he was dealing with some injuries. It was a 60-game season. I'm not going to look at that 60-game season and think, oh no, Nolan Arenado is probably on the downward spiral of his career here. No, I'm not going to think that at all. But if I'm taking a look here, at what you're looking at, it's still a lot of money. And, I would expect he's going to bounce back. But anyway, getting back here to the Mets, what could the Mets possibly give in a deal? I mean, you got guys like J.D. Davis that could be expendable. I don't know if you would get rid of a Jeff McNeil. I really like Jeff McNeil. I don't know. Could you maybe part with an Andres Jimenez? Ahmad Rosario, I don't know if it's not really much there. Could you maybe part with a Dominic Smith, a Brandon Nimmo possibly? I think out of all these guys, JD Davis seems to be the guy that seems to be the most expendable, if you ask me. So if I go back to baseballtradevalues.com, let's set up a trade here. Mets, let's do Rockies. Again, I think on here, they're going to have Nolan Arenado at a pretty negative value. It's just because of a big contract. Yeah, I mean, he's the worst value. I don't fully agree with baseball trade values all the time. I think they do great work, but there are some where I'm like, ugh, really? So, I don't know. If you're going based off of this, I know they have all their algorithms. I know they have, they got all the math that they got in their system. I'm not, there's a lot. They do explain how they do weigh everything. But there's just some things I just simply don't agree with. Sometimes it's not all about the numbers and the algorithms. But let's take a look here. So Nolan Arenado to the Mets. So he's at a negative 43.7 value right now. I mean, if you're the Mets, could you maybe part with, I don't know. I mean, there's not really too much here. I mean, bad contract-wise. I mean, Cano is obviously a terrible contract, but Cano's not going to be the guy. Also, why do they have James McCann at a high availability? Baseball trade values. What are you doing right now? Anyway, but getting back here, I don't know. Do you maybe... You'd have to give some cash, I would think, because I would think if you're the Rockies, you got to pay off some of that contract a little bit. Again, there's just not really much here that you can do because they're just going to be far apart. Like you have a JD Davis that maybe could, that could be a swap right there. But again, even if you throw in some cash here, they're still going to be pretty far apart. It's just based off of the negative value. I would think, let's say we're not paying attention to this, the numbers, maybe a couple of prospects. Again, I don't think if you're the Rockies, you're not going to get much for Nolan Arenado, I think. Especially after it's again 60-game season, not really, the end all be all. It's a 60-game season. I mean, they didn't play, 100 games last season. So those 100 games, you could see Nolan Arenado still get to around 40 home runs, still get to around 100 RBIs. So I would not be surprised at all if Nolan Arenado if they had a full season last year, ends up having a really good second half of the season. We've seen it time and time again. So again, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some moves here that you could do. I mean, like I said, you could do a JD Davis. I mean, you do got Dominic Smith. He's a young guy. I mean, he could definitely be a part of a deal. Again, there's not really many prospects, so I could definitely see them parting you definitely could see a guy like JD Davis head back in a deal like this. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you throw in a David Peterson. Something like that. I don't know. Even that's already kind of pushing it, I think, because I like Peterson. Not exactly the best young pitcher out there, but again, this is really far apart. This is just really far apart right now. I don't know. It's just not really too much here. I'm seeing here in the chat, Paul Sox Alonso. So funny when I made my video on trade ideas for Blake Snell. Everyone, not everyone, but I had a few people in the comments say, "Are you crazy? The Mets aren't going to give up Pete Alonso." I don't know. I mean, I think if the right deal came along for a Pete Alonso, I think you could see the Mets do it. But yeah, here with Aronado, I don't know. Let me actually go to the trade boards here. Maybe there's something here recently that we can find Aronado wise. Here we go. So the most recent ones, I mean, you're looking here again. So a lot of people, they're seeing the rumors lately. They're kind of looking here, they're looking Mets Rockies right now. If you go to baseball trade values, you're going to see a lot of like the trending kind of news, and then people are going to start plugging in stuff related to that trending news. So, I mean, here, this guy, he had 65. So that's the thing. I'm kind of confused about cash. So I just don't really know so his value is 43.7, and this guy put 65 cash. That I'm still a little confused about on this website. I'm not sure if anyone could explain to me in the chat, but does that mean you're paying? I don't think that means you're paying his whole contract. I don't think so. But yeah, I see what this guy was doing. because obviously with Nolan Arenado, like that's a pretty deep hole right there when it comes to his value, at least on here. So he's trying to make up the difference. I don't think Nolan Arenado's a negative 43.7. And then you got a crazy deal like this over here, friggin' people going all over the place. Aronado and Story and Bader going to the Mets. That's never going to happen. This guy, he tried to do something pretty simple here. Nolan Arenado for Robinson Cano straight up. That's not going to happen, obviously. Again, it's very hard, at least on this website, to make it happen. Here, okay, there was something here. Again, but Robinson Cano, that's not going to happen. You're not going to do Robinson Cano for Nolan Arenado. That would be the most stupid trade why would the Rockies ever do that? There's no way they want to get rid of Aronado because they want to get out of the contract. So why would they take on Robinson Cano's salary? I know it would be for less years, but they're not doing that. That's not going to happen. You got something here. Man, what is this? Here we go. So Mets they would get Marquez in this trade. So that was a 3 up, 3 down on this. JD Davis, Brandon Nimmo. Again, with this kind of a trade, I think you have to get kind of creative with a Nolan Arenado. So let me actually go back here to the simulator. Let me actually just do what that other guy did, where I put some cash down, where it'll give him some value. Mets. Here we go. Rockies. All right, so Rockies. All right. Okay, so let's just put whatever. Let's just do what that one guy did. 65 cash. Whatever. Let's say that translates to, you're paying like a third of his contract or something like that. So let's say 21.3 here. Okay. Mets. Okay, so now we got something to work with. So Mets, you could send back a couple of pieces here. So I think JD Davis would be a part of this deal. I think he would be. He's only 27 years old. He can play third. Not great defensively, but you could see him as part of this deal. So now we're getting a little closer here. So JD Davis, I don't know. You could maybe throw in a picture here. Or you could do a Dominic Smith. You could do a JD Davis or a Dominic Smith. So they're around the same value as well. So you could maybe do one of these two guys, JD Davis or Dominic Smith. The Rockies can take their pick on one of those. Because either way, you can have... I think Smith, honestly, is a little more expendable because you already have Pete Alonso at first. So I think Smith would be the more expendable guy. Davis, I don't know. You could go with one of those guys. Honestly, the Rockies can take their pick, and then maybe just throw in just a prospect. And if you go look at the Mets prospects, Mauricio, he's their top prospect. Alvarez, Pete Crow Armstrong, they just drafted. JT Ginn, they just drafted. I don't know. Maybe you could put like a Thomas Zapucki in there. He's close to Major League ready. So Zapucki on here. Where are you at? Zapucki, where are you at? So you're at a 3.9. So maybe you could do something like this. Maybe I don't know. Let's just say JD Davis. I don't know. He's pretty good. I like JD Davis. I just don't like the defense. Maybe something like this. Like a Aronado and some cash. You get JD Davis, Zapucki. You could probably get another prospect in there, maybe. I don't know, something like that. I'm not really sure. Again, it's the cash here. It is confusing me a little bit. Like, again, how much cash would you have to put down if you're the Rockies? I think if you're the Rockies, you could put that cash down. But then it would be good, too, because if Aronado opts out of that contract, then, then they wouldn't have to pay any of it. So then everyone would be free. But I don't know. This is kind of something I think you would see. I think you could maybe push for another prospect here. If you go back to the top prospects, I don't know, maybe they could always use pitching. I don't know, maybe like a Joshua Cornelli, something like that. Cornelli, where are you at? I don't know, but then when you get down here, these as you can see the values here. So if you go to like the Mets top prospect, Mauricio, what is his value on here? So Mauricio, he has a 35.4 value. So yeah, he's their top prospect. Yeah, that's what you're going to see. Well, that's the Mets' top prospect. So as you're going to see, once you get higher into the prospects on each list, the value is going to grow, obviously. So whatever, but you can probably pull off maybe like someone else. I don't know, Ventura, this guy. I don't know, Cornelli, something like that. I don't know, do something like that. I don't know. That to me is already looking like too much. But I don't know. That's what I think you're looking at with a Nolan Arenado. If a trade's going to happen, I think you're going to expect the Rockies are going to have to throw in some cash. I think you're going to have to part with a JD Davis, or you're going to have to part with, why am I going blank on his name right now? Dominic Smith. Sorry, my goodness, I was going so blank on that name. I think you're going to have to part with one of those guys. They are still on the younger side, and you're probably going to have to part with a prospect or two. So that's what you're looking at. Now, do the Mets do this? I don't know. I don't think the Mets are going to do this. I don't see why they would make this trade, especially because he has that opt-out. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't see it. I think it's too complicated. Now let's say he had an opt-out like maybe 2 years down the road. Maybe you have this season coming up and then one more season. Then yeah, it's a little more enticing at that point. But with the fact that you're only going to get Aronado for 1 year, at least as of right now, it's only going to be for 1 year. I think if you're the Mets, you're going to feel better if you know he's going to opt back in. So I think that's going to be the sticking point. I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see this gain some steam, but I think this is going to be a pretty complicated trade to get done. It's not going to be easy for the Mets to get this done, or to be honest with you, it's the Rockies wanting to engage the Mets. It's not the Mets wanting Arenado. I mean, it's not the Mets going hardcore after Arenado. It's the Rockies. They're calling up the Mets, and they're saying, hey, you want Arenado? Come on, let's make something work. So that's what we're seeing here right now. So I think you're going to have to see some kind of a trade like this. That's I think, probably going to get it done. You know what? I'm going to post it. There we go. Validate trade. We're gonna post that on the board. So, and people are probably going to downvote it incredibly. So anyway, but what do you think in the chat? Do you think Nolan Arenado is going to get traded? Do you think he is going to end up staying? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you think he is going to get traded. Give me a thumbs down in the chat if you think he is going to end up staying. So there was here, I think, hold on, let me see if I can pull up the... So yeah, Bud Black, there was actually something on this today. Bud Black did say that he expects Aronado and Trevor Story to be playing for the Rockies in 2021. I'm expecting that as well. I think he's going to end up, I think he's just going to end up staying. Sure, it's fun to talk trades and everything, but when you're getting realistic here, it's that opt-out. It's the money. It's just too complicated, and I don't think the Rockies are going to, I'd be surprised if the Rockies got rid of him. But yeah, Bud Black, he believes it's possible for the Rockies to be a playoff contender in 2021. Oh my God, I hate these websites that make you pay for a subscription. Dang it. Whatever, but you saw enough of it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Nolan Arenado. So yeah, I think he's going to end up staying. At least, yeah, right now I'm thinking that. I think it's just going to be a little too complicated. So, but yeah, anyway, let's get on to the next bit of news. So we have been hearing some rumblings about this one particular catcher. We've been seeing him connected to a few teams this offseason. We've seen him connected to the Yankees. We've seen him connected to the Mets. We've seen him connected to the Padres. But another team now is connected with Yadier Molina, and that is the Washington Nationals. The Washington Nationals, they had Kurt Suzuki. They had Yan Gomes. Which one of them became a free agent? I can't fully remember at the top of my head. I believe it was Kurt Suzuki that became a free agent. So either way, the Nationals, they are in need of some catching help, and I think the Nationals could be. I think the Nationals, if you really think about it, the Nationals, they're just a good fit for a lot of players this offseason. Nolan Arenado would fit well there. JT Realmuto would fit well there. George Springer would fit well there. They have kind of needs all over the place right now. And Yadier Molina, I think actually could be maybe the best fit out of all of them, because the Nationals tend, ever since they gave a big contract to Max Scherzer, they didn't want to pay Bryce Harper. They don't want to dish out all this money, it seems like. And they're kind of going through a bit of a retooling phase right now. They really need to build up that farm system a little bit more. I could see them going after a Yadier Molina. That would be just weird if he ends up going to the Nationals. But let's get to the article that reported this. Here we go, sharing the screen. Here we go. So it was Robert Murray. Who is he affiliated with? Robert Murray. Who are you? Oh, okay. He's a columnist for the Nationals. Anyway, the Nationals are a possibility for free agent catcher Yadier Molina. The 38-year-old is drawing interest for multiple teams, and Washington is among the teams with a need at catcher. So, he doesn't really actually say that the Nationals are like in on him. He basically just said he's drawing interest from multiple teams, and the Nationals need a catcher. So this isn't totally like him saying like, yeah, the Nationals are really pushing hard for him. But at the end of the day, it is a fit. So he's not wrong about that. But do I think this is going to happen? Probably not. I don't think this is going to end up happening. To be honest with you, it's just so weird to think of Yadier Molina in any other jersey than a Cardinals jersey. I think you could see Yadier Molina go back to the Cardinals for one more year. I think that could happen. But I don't know, but it seems like maybe he wants to get like a 2 or 3 year deal. If we go take a look at Yadier Molina, let's take a look at how are the stats looking. I mean, he's not going to blow you out of the water. So as of right now, he's 38 years old. It seems like he wants to play into his 40s. So either way, not great with the offense last year. 662 OPS. Again, 60-game season. He played 42 out of those 60 games. But as we all know with Yadier Molina, this is a guy that definitely has a chance at the Hall of Fame one day. If we take a look at the last 3 years, I'm not going to look at 2020 because they average in all of these smaller numbers into, what we're used to seeing. So I'm just going to look at 2017 to 2019. So during this time, he averaged 16 home runs, 71 RBIs. He averaged a 268 batting average, a 738 OPS. That's pretty good. For a catcher that is more defensive minded, Yadier Molina is one of the best when it comes to defense. He's extremely good at working with pitchers. If you look at the Cardinals, they always have great pitching every single year. I'm not saying he's the main reason, but he's definitely a big reason for it. He still throws out a lot of guys on the bases. He's still definitely elite when it comes to defense. If you take a look at the defensive WAR on Baseball Reference, I mean, he's in the positives every single year. He has not had 1 year of a negative defensive WAR, and that's saying something. So Gold Gloves almost every single year, it seems. Yadier Molina, I think if Yadier Molina went to the Nationals, that would be a really, really interesting fit, because I would love to see Yadier Molina catching for a Max Scherzer. That would be awesome. A Steven Strasburg. Could you imagine how they would probably love to throw to him? And you would imagine that the Nationals, they kind of want to have like one guy, be at the catching position more often than not. Kurt Suzuki and Yan Gomes would split time all the time. So Nationals, let's take a look at the depth chart right now. Take a look at what we're working with here. So you would have to imagine with the Nationals, with Yadier Molina, he's probably not going to cost all that much. But right now, all they have is Yan Gomes. Kurt Suzuki is a free agent. They don't really have anyone. If you look at the 40-man roster, if we take a look at the catchers, I mean, they got Trace Barrera. So they do have someone here. But Yan Gomes, if you go into the season next year with a Yan Gomes, I mean, you're gonna get some offense. You're gonna get 284 average last year. I think with Yan Gomes, the problem with him is I think it is the defense. Let me actually go look at the numbers real quick. Yan Gomes, what are you doing here, my friend? So, defensive WAR. I mean, no, he's actually been okay defensively. He hasn't been too bad. But as you can see here, he only played half the games. I'm trying to. I don't pay too much attention to the Nationals. Let's take a look at the splits. Does he hit certain? Does he hit righties better? Let's take. What happened here? Oh, here we go. Okay, so taking a look. So yeah, he does a lot better against lefties. So not as good against righties. Definitely a lot more productive against lefties. So, but yeah, you know, that's kind of him and Kurt Suzuki. They would split the time. So I think with the Nationals, you're looking at a guy like Yadier Molina. He can play more often. But Yan Gomes, he can fill in too. So Yan Gomes, he's not a bad guy to have on your team at all. They won a World Series with this guy on their roster. So, and yeah, he definitely contributed to that team. So Yan Gomes over the last couple of years, I mean, he's been pretty solid for the most part. I mean, he's not going to, again, he's kind of like Yadier Molina in a way. He's not going to blow you out of the water. 12 home runs in 2019, 16, 2018. But again, as you can see here, he only played 97 games. I mean, he got the majority of the starts over Kurt Suzuki. So, 704 OPS in 2019, it's pretty, yeah. Yan Gomes, he's respectable. He's a respectable catcher. I'm actually interested to see how he does on, what does Fangraphs do for him? I cannot type. I still cannot type. What the heck am I typing? I just typed in Yan G's. I swear, this keyboard, I can't stand this keyboard. Here we go. Yan Gomes. What are we looking at? So, I only looked at the defensive WAR. I mean, it's got to be okay. Taking a look here. So the framing, not very good. Negative 1.5 framing. -3 defensive runs saved in 2020. But he had 5 defensive runs saved in 2019. The framing was a little better. Again, it's kind of lines up with Baseball Reference a little bit. He's not going to be like, a JT Realmuto or a Yasmani Grandal, but he's going to be fine, The defensive WAR, as you can see here, but actually the defensive WAR was defensive runs above average, pretty good. 2018, actually really good. Last year was kind of a down year. So honestly, I think if you're the Nationals and you went into this year with a Yan Gomes, maybe you pick up someone else to go with him. Maybe bring back Kurt Suzuki. That's still a possibility as well. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to end up going with a Yadier Molina. I just think Yadier Molina is just going to go back to St. Louis. I don't know. I'd be very surprised. The only team I could see Yadier Molina going to are the Yankees or the Mets. I could see him going to, I could see him going to the Yankees more, but I don't know. The Yankees just seem to be in love with Gary Sanchez. I'm not a fan of Gary Sanchez whatsoever. I will argue with you until I am blue in the face on Gary Sanchez. I think he's terrible as a defensive catcher. Either way, the guy can hit moonshots, but that's the only team I could see Yadier Molina going to are the Yankees. They have that historic, rich history. He's going from one historic franchise to the other. I could see that. And the Yankees are definitely closer to a World Series than the Cardinals are. So, but that's the only team really I could see him going to. I don't think he's going to go to the Nationals. I don't see it. Tell me what you think in the chat. Do you think there's any possibility of Yadier Molina going to any other team? Or do you think he's just going to stay with the Cardinals? Give me a thumbs up if you think he is going to go to another team. Or give me a thumbs down if you think he is not going to go to another team. David Knight, what's going on? Molina to the Yankees seems second behind the Cardinals. I agree. He would get more playing time there with McCann. He doesn't get as many starts with the Mets. Oh, yeah, duh. Yeah, definitely not now with McCann going to the Mets, obviously. Before I could see Molina going to the Mets. So, but yeah, definitely not now. So, the Yankees definitely. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he'll go to the Padres. I've seen the Padres come up. Again, the Nationals I don't think are too out of the question, because they do have a lot of talent still on that team, and he's not going to cost a lot of money, so I could see the Nationals maybe bringing him in, or at least he fits kind of where they're at with, financially, I guess. So, but all right, it seems like we're all pretty mixed. I seeing some thumbs ups. Yeah, okay, seems like we're a bit mixed. So, but alrighty, here we go. Let's move on to our next story. So again, I this is the joke of the offseason. It's the joke. It's a joke at this point because it's just tiring to talk about, this one team. But we got to talk about the news, and that's the Blue Jays once again interested in someone else. Blue Jays are interested in everyone, but this one, okay, I just spelled his name wrong. Dang it, autocorrect. I hate you. That is not how we spell Ha-Seong Kim. That is how you spell song in America, but no, it's Seong. Autocorrect did me dirty here. But Blue Jays interested in Ha-Seong Kim. This one, honestly, I can actually see, I could see this happening. And for a multitude of reasons. When we look at the Blue Jays, I have said this a few times, where you don't see the Blue Jays often give out big contracts. I think the biggest contract, I actually said this on another stream, I thought the biggest contract they had given out was to Russell Martin. No, the biggest contract they gave out was to Vernon Wells. That was back in like 2006 or something like that. They gave him like a 7-year, $125 or $26 million contract. I forgot all about Vernon Wells. Raise your hand in the chat if you remember Vernon Wells. I remember Vernon Wells playing on the Yankees. Vernon Wells, when he would come to Fenway, oh my gosh, that guy would just destroy all the Red Sox's hopes and dreams. So, but Vernon Wells, I completely forgot about Vernon Wells. But the Blue Jays don't really give out a lot of big contracts. So, but with Ha-Seong Kim, I think you could see him really maybe actually going to the Blue Jays. This one I could see. Oh, here, let me share the screen. Here we go. So John Heyman was reporting this today. The Jays have been in touch. So this is a little more, there's a little more to this than the whole Yadier Molina tweet that I was showing you. That one was just more like it seemed like a speculation kind of a tweet. But this one, there's actually something to it. The Jays have been in touch with star KBO shortstop Ha-Seong Kim, and he's someone they like. He's also recently had dinner with Jays ace Hyun-Jin Ryu. Kim hit a career best 30 home runs for the Kiwoom Heroes this past year, and he just turned 25. This is one that I really could see happening because the main reason I think right here, Hyun-Jin Ryu. Hyun-Jin Ryu played in the KBO. Hyun-Jin Ryu and him, I believe, are friends, or at least they're definitely acquaintances. At least, I mean, they went to dinner, so they have that connection with the KBO. Hyun-Jin Ryu has arguably been the most, I don't even know if it's arguable. I think he has been the most successful guy to come over from the KBO. So that right there, there's a bit of a comfort factor right there with a Ha-Seong Kim. You have to remember, Ha-Seong Kim is only 25 years old. That's not old, man. I mean, I'm 30. So I'm thinking like, 25? If I was 25 years old going to play in a different country to play for my job, that is I'm sorry, but it's a little intimidating. But for him, Ha-Seong Kim, you're going from the KBO, you're going to a different country to go play the best talent of baseball in the world. At only 25 years old. And I think that's saying something. The KBO is not as talented as these leagues in like Japan. The KBO definitely are a step behind when it comes to like talent in Japan. I mean, at least in my personal opinion, I think you're going to get more talent in Japan. The KBO, they are actually starting to get some pretty good guys out there. So, but yes, Ha-Seong Kim, this is a guy to keep an eye out for. He's an all-around guy. He can hit for power, he can hit for average, he can play good defense. He's got some decent speed too. This is a guy, and he fields the ball well. This is a guy, he's been very good over in the KBO. Last year, I mean, honestly, he picked his best year, or last year for him to have his best year last year. Good for him. I mean, this guy had a career year. 30 home runs, 109 RBIs, hit 306, a 397 on base, a 523 slugging. This right here, that seems like he is ready to kind of make the jump. He's not going to put up numbers like that. If we take a look, depth charts, they're projecting for him They're projecting for him to hit 244. They're projecting an OPS in the 700s, about 22 home runs, 76 RBIs. That seems reasonable. I think that's pretty reasonable if you ask me. I think you could maybe see a bit of a higher average, maybe somewhere like 270, 280. I think that's possible. I think you could see an OPS maybe approaching 800. Or who knows, maybe he translates just really well to American pitching or to major league pitching. And who knows, maybe he ends up being really good. And he's only 25 years old, so it's not like he's, already a seasoned guy. Like he still has a lot more room to grow. And I think with the Blue Jays, I think Ha-Seong Kim, I think he kind of matches up, again, getting back to the Blue Jays with what they spend. The Blue Jays tend not to spend a lot of money. Like I said, the biggest contract they've ever given out was for Vernon Wells, I believe $126 million. I could be off on that, but that's it. They haven't given out a lot of big contracts over the years. Ha-Seong Kim, I believe, Fangraphs, free agents. Fangraphs, they do pretty good with their free agent preview. If you haven't checked this out, just Google Fangraphs free agents. They do like their top 50 free agents where they kind of, they got their takes and everything, but then they kind of break down like what kind of money that they think they're going to get. So they have here like JT Realmuto, Craig Edwards. He believes he's going to get a 6-year deal, $23.3 million per year. So he thinks he's going to get a 6-year, $140 million deal. Average crowdsource. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what that is exactly, but so they're seeing here like close to a 5-year deal to about $104.5 million. So yeah, I don't know, pretty nice little setup they do here. If you ever want to kind of figure out like, oh, what could this guy be making money wise? What kind of a contract could we be expecting? But it seems like the middle point, a 5-year deal for $110 million. So if we go down here, that's JT Realmuto. Ha-Seong Kim, they actually had pretty high on this list. Where is he? Here he is. He was number 8. So they think Craig Edwards thinks he's going to get a 5-year deal for $60 million. Again, I don't know what average crowdsource means. I don't know if that's like people voting or something. Like I don't know what that is. But they're saying 4 years, 45, and then the middle ground is 4 years at 44. So I could see him. I mean, again, that just sounds about right. I don't know. I could maybe just see 4 years, maybe $40 million, something like that, $10 million a year, something like that. But I think this is a guy that I think the Blue Jays can afford. Obviously, they can afford him, but he kind of fits well into their philosophy of what kind of money they like to give out. So don't be surprised if you see Ha-Seong Kim move over to Toronto. So Ha-Seong Kim, he's a shortstop, but he could play second. You could have Kevin Biggio move over to third. You could have Ha-Seong Kim maybe play third. There's definitely a fit for him in Toronto. There's a lot of places Ha-Seong Kim could go. A lot of people have projected maybe the Rangers, maybe the Athletics. Probably don't have the money for him, but that is definitely a spot where Marcus Semien, he's not there. So I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of spots for Ha-Seong Kim, but the Blue Jays, in my opinion, they're a pretty good fit. Money-wise, they have the position where he could fill in, and they have Hyun-Jin Ryu. So again, you're a 25-year-old kid. You're coming over from a country that you've lived in your whole life, but you got a seasoned pro like a Hyun-Jin Ryu. He made that transition successfully. He knows how to succeed in the major leagues. I think having a guy like a Hyun-Jin Ryu for a Ha-Seong Kim, I think that could end up, working out really well, and I think that would help a transition. But tell me what you think down below. Do you think this is a good fit? Ha-Seong Kim going to the Blue Jays? I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I think it could absolutely happen. That's where I'm at. David Knight, man, honestly, but I mentioned the Rangers. The Rangers have been having themselves. I will tell you, I was giving a lot of crap for the Rangers for how they handled that trade deadline. John Daniels, you have been doing a really pretty good job I mean, you got a Dane Dunning, you signed David Dahl, you brought in a Nate Lowe. Those are 3 pretty decent moves. Honestly, I could maybe see the Rangers bringing in a Ha-Seong Kim. If you bring in a Ha-Seong Kim, the Rangers, if you bring him in, you bringing a Ha-Seong Kim, Nate Lowe, a Dane Dunning, and who's the other guy? I just said his name. Hold on, wait. Dane Dunning, Nate Lowe, David Dahl, sorry, and then a Ha-Seong Kim. That's a very productive offseason. That's pretty good if you ask me. So don't be surprised to see the Rangers get in on him. That is definitely a possibility. The Rangers have been busy, just like you said, David. So absolutely a possibility here. So that's all I have. I didn't really see... I'm seeing some thumbs down. Francisco, you don't think he's going to go to the Blue Jays? All right, yeah. All right. So I guess we're not really decided in the chat. So we'll have to wait and see how that develops. All right, we got a couple more stories to talk about here. We actually did have a signing here. We did actually, it's not just rumors, we actually did have a bit of a move today. Not the biggest move, not an earth-shattering move by any means, but this is a guy that was just recently in the playoffs, in the World Series for the Rays. Mike Zunino has re-signed for 1 year. So they initially did not bring him back, but they have now come to terms on a 1-year contract. And honestly, this isn't really surprising to me. I think with the Rays, they don't have anyone at catcher. They did just bring in, I'm going blank on his name, but in the Nate Lowe trade, they did bring in a pretty young catcher who's been, hitting pretty well so far in the minor leagues. It's only up to like single A, I believe, or rookie ball. But again, the Rays don't really seem to ever have an option when it comes to the catching department. But let's go to the article. Here we go. So this is at 3 o'clock. The Rays did announce it. The escalators within the 2022 club option. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, here we go. So at 12:26, that's when they agreed. Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times was reporting this. It was a 1-year contract. I believe it was $3 million. So hold on. Zunino will get $3 million in guaranteed money, according to John Heyman. So $3 million, it breaks down as $2 million in salary and a $1 million buyout. So there's a club option. So no matter what, he is going to make $3 million. It's just a matter of, are they going to bring him back for the next year? The exact value of the club option will vary based on Zunino's playing time, but it will fall somewhere between $4 to $7 million. So, yeah, not a bad little club option there. But Zunino, this is a guy where you know what you're going to be getting with a Mike Zunino. He's going to hit for some power, but that's really all you're going to get offensively. If we look at the last 3 seasons, 2017, he had himself a pretty decent year that year. He hit .251, but he had an .840 OPS, 25 home runs, 64 RBIs. He had himself a good year over in 2017, but then he really digressed in 2018. Tampa Bay took a chance on him last season. Again, not really too much there. I mean, the power really dropped off. So, yeah, with a Mike Zunino, you're not going to get too much there. With Mike Zunino, what you're really going to get is defense. That's what you're going to get with a Mike Zunino. You're going to get a defensive guy, defensive-oriented. So defensive WAR, Baseball Reference, this year is 0.1. He had a 1.0 in 2019, a 1.5. He's always been in the positive. So you know what you're going to be getting with a Mike Zunino. Let's actually break this down a little more. I prefer Fangraphs when it comes to defensive stats. Mike Zunino. So let's take a look at the framing. Let's take a look at the defensive runs above average. So again, as you can see, the defensive runs above average, very good. A 1.7 this past year. One of the things I can't stand about this past year is just the small sample size of the numbers. Like I hate it. I can't stand it. I can't wait to just get back to a normal 162 game season. That's what we're all used to seeing. Goodness gracious. I hate looking at this small sample size because it doesn't tell you anything. But either way, 1.7, he was in the positives there. Again, looking at the offense, I mean, look, -4 this year, -20 last year, -10.5 in 2018. I mean, again, 2017 was a really good year. And a lot of people were like, whoa, look out for this Mike Zunino guy. Hits for power, pretty good offensive guy, and he has good defense. Mike Zunino was a pretty hot commodity in 2017, but then he really dropped off in 2018. So, but with the Rays, if we take a look more at the defense, what we take a look at here, taking a look at the advanced framing, at the advanced fielding, looking at the framing, he's always been very good with framing. Again, this year, it's just not a big sample size, at all. So these numbers are in the negatives. I'm not going to look at these very much. If you look at how he's done in his career, he has always been a good defensive catcher. Looking at the numbers, the framing has always been really good. This past year, I mean, whatever. He played 28 games, I believe. I think it was 28 games. Yeah, 28 games. You're not going to get anything out of that. I mean, I don't care what those numbers say. It's 28 games. So Mike Zunino, again, in the playoffs, if we take a look at the postseason, didn't really do too much either. But he was hitting for some power in the postseason. Overall, if you look at all of the games that he played, including the postseason, so what is that? That's 47 games that he played. He hit 8 home runs. So let's say that was 162 games. 162 divided by 48 times 8. So, I mean, he was on pace. If he was, to stick with that pace for the whole season, he was on pace for 27 home runs if you played 162 games. So, Mike Zunino, I mean, he's going to hit for some power, and he was showing that power in the postseason. So, again, but overall, though, it's just the average, the on base, the slugging, just not good. A 55 WRC plus. You're not really going to get much when it comes to, you're going to get power from Zunino. That's really it. Power and defense. So, not surprised here. I would imagine maybe the Rays took a look around, tried to look for some different options when it came to catcher. And they just weren't really finding anything. So they probably said, all right, okay, get Mike Zunino back on this phone. We got to bring him back. We're not finding anything out here. So they brought back Mike Zunino. I think overall, I mean, hey, the Rays they have a catcher. So, that's it's important to have a catcher. So either way, I think with Mike Zunino, I mean, he's coming back cheap. I mean, he's $2 million for the season. He has a club option for next season. So why not do another year? And if the Rays really feel like they have a chance of going for it again, maybe they can make a trade for a catcher. That's the thing with the Rays, is that they can make trades. They have a ton of prospects. So if they want to go out and get a catcher at the trade deadline, they were in on Christian Vasquez this past trade deadline. So that never materialized, though. So don't be surprised if the Rays they get in again on the catching market, at the trade deadline. But either way, good move. Even if you have a Mike Zunino, if you end up bringing someone else in, Mike Zunino is going to be a really good backup. I memean, that's a guy. I would love Mike Zunino as a backup catcher. I think that would be great. So, but yeah. Either way, I think that's a win-win. You can't really go wrong with this. He's cheap too. So, moving on to our last bit of news before we get out of here. So the Giants, we're seeing minor moves from the San Francisco Giants this offseason. Not too much, but they did bring in Anthony Desclafani. So on a 1-year deal, let's pull up the stats with Anthony Desclafani. MLB trade rumors actually predicted him to go to the Red Sox. And I actually thought that definitely could have been a possibility, simply because this is a guy where his value is pretty low at the moment. He has just not really produced all that much. Well, this season is what I'm saying. He hold on, let me share my screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here we go. So he didn't really produce at all this season. He had a very high ERA, a 7.22 ERA, a 6.10 FIP. If you go back to last season in 2019, the year before, yeah, he was productive. If you go to 2018, a pretty high ERA of 4.93, 4.83 FIP. You know, he was kind of, you know, here he had 20 starts in 2016. Pretty good here. The strikeout numbers weren't really great in his first few seasons, but he started to pump up the strikeout numbers in 2018 and 2019. But then last year, he really dropped off. He really struggled. The walks were up. The home runs were up. He was giving up 11 hits per 9. The strikeouts were down. So, you know, the Anthony Desclafani, I mean, wasn't really showing much. But actually, if hold on a second. I'm going to look at something. Anthony Desclafani, Fangraphs. So it looks like with him, he really gave up definitely a lot more home runs this past season. So the fly ball rate, what was his fly ball rate? Whereas xFIP was a 5.63. That's pretty high. So fly ball, here we go, batted ball. I mean, it wasn't. He's had higher fly ball rates. So. Yeah, the xFIP I get a little worried about. That's a 5.63. That's pretty high. But in that ballpark in San Francisco, that's a pitcher-friendly ballpark right there. I think Anthony Desclafani, I think this is a good signing for the Giants. I like this signing. If we go actually take a look at the depth chart right now, I think this is a pretty solid signing. I think you're going to see... Let me actually look at the BABIP. What was his BABIP? Pretty high. That matched a career high batting average on balls in play. You have to think that that's going to come down a little bit. So a lot more hits were probably falling in. He was getting a bit unlucky last year in those 7 starts. That's a pretty high BABIP right there. And the year before, it really shot up from the year before. So he had a 273 BABIP in 2019, jumps up to 318. It's a shortened season. You know, he didn't really get the time to really work out any kinks or anything like that. I think, honestly, if you get a full season out of him, you can see an ERA maybe in the mid-4s, maybe a little, 4.70 ERA, something like that. But I think you could have seen him kind of work out some kinks. Again, the strikeouts were down, the walks were up. So, but the BABIP, that tells me right there he was getting a bit unlucky last year. But if we go take a look at the depth chart, I mean, the Giants, they're kind of making these little moves here. So you got Johnny Cueto, you got Kevin, and they brought Kevin Gausman back. I forgot about that. Johnny Cueto, Kevin Gausman, Logan Webb, and now you have an Anthony Desclafani. So, not bad moves here for the Giants. Not crazy moves by any means. Speaking of the Giants, I believe I read somewhere today that they are going to be sticking with Buster Posey as their primary catcher. So it looks like the Joey Bart era will not be starting just yet. Where did I read that today? Or I guess that was a couple of days ago. So that was on ESPN. Let me actually see. But yeah, ESPN was reporting this. All right, so let's go to ESPN. Not a big fan of ESPN, but whatever. So it says here, Alden Gonzalez, Buster Posey will remain the Giants' primary catcher in 2021, and he will get a lion's share of the reps, despite the presence of top prospect Joey Bart. So Gabe Kapler, he's leaning more towards Buster Posey right now. Says right here, I don't think it's any secret that last year was a struggle for Joey on a number of different levels. We think the development that he had, the development time that he had at the major league level was really good for him, and we'll continue to assess his readiness and just think about Buster as a surefire lock for our opening day roster and the lion's share of the reps back there. It does seem like Joey Bart, that's kind of where I've talked about some possible trades where maybe, I don't know, maybe if you're the Tampa Bay Rays, maybe you can dangle a Blake Snell for a Joey Bart. The Rays, they need a catcher. I know they just brought back Mike Zunino, but they're pretty dry when it comes to catchers. I don't know. Joey Bart could be a possibility, but I don't know. I kind of, you were seeing Joey Bart not really getting that go ahead, like, all right, kid, this is your position. But no, this is still Buster Posey's position. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. I love me some Buster Posey. What can I say? He had a down 2019 year, and he didn't even play this past year. So anyway, we're talking about Anthony Desclafani. I think it's a good move. Good little move for the Giants. Either way, Giants are just making little moves. Yeah, I like what the Giants are doing. Nothing too crazy, but they're making moves to fill some needs. So, everyone, that is all the news that I have for tonight. So I'll hang out here in the chat for a few minutes. Let's see what you guys are talking about. BZ Baseball, Angels sign Alex Claudio. BZ Baseball, no spamming, please. Here we go. Alex Claudio. Let's pull up Alex Claudio. Here we go. So baseball reference. Here we go. So he is now on the Angels. Here we go. So overall, okay. He had 20 games out of the bullpen for the Brewers. 4.26 ERA. Oh, hold on. Let me share my screen. 4.09 FIP. It's just whatever. He'll go in middle relief. Nothing crazy. Yeah, middle relief. The Angels could definitely use some more arms in that bullpen for sure. So, yeah, I guess not an earth-shattering move by any means, but hey, for the Angels, they could definitely use some more bullpen arms. So, what are we saying here? I just saw someone say something about Corey Kluber. Jacoby Jones, the Giants need to sign Kluber. I mean, hey, could that be a possibility? Kluber is going to be an interesting one. I am still holding out hope that my Red Sox will bring Corey Kluber back. So, yeah, I'm really hoping for that. Jackson, the Indians should be called the Cleveland Lindors. Man, if I were the Indians, man, I mean, what do I know? I don't run any of their finances or anything. But man, you would love to just see Francisco Lindor just stay there for the long term, So, Elliot Rivera, I did predict Liam Hendricks going to the Mets. I think Liam Hendricks would be a great fit as a Met. They could definitely use it. I think Liam Hendricks with either the Mets or the Phillies, I think, would be fantastic for each team. Both of those teams need a closer. They need a shutdown guy at the end of games. So, alrighty, everyone. I think that's all I have for tonight. Again, nothing crazy tonight, but again, just to kind of recap real quick. So Aronado, Rockies, they're wanting the Mets to start talking to them about Aronado. They're pushing their buttons. Come on, Mets. Come on, talk with us. You want Aronado. You want him. So we'll have to see how that goes. Probably not. I don't see Aronado going anywhere. Yadier Molina, Nationals could be interested. Ha-Seong Kim, Blue Jays, they're interested in everyone. But this is something I actually could see happening just because of that connection with Hyun-Jin Ryu. Mike Zunino going back to the Rays for 1 year. Anthony Desclafani going to the Giants on a 1-year deal. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the news tonight. Also, I mentioned this in the stream before we went with this one. The last stream started having technical difficulties. But if you haven't seen it already, go check out my How to Fix the Phillies video. I had a lot of fun making this one. This was a really good time making this. So definitely go give that a look-see. That was a lot of fun to make. I think I came up with a foolproof plan to fix the Phillies, to win a World Series. I think you're going to like what I put together, or you're probably going to think I am absolutely out of my mind, and you're going to think I'm the biggest idiot on the planet, but that's okay too. So definitely go give this a look. It is posted on my channel. And speaking of the channel, just to kind of, I was kind of talking about this in the beginning of the stream. I definitely think I am going to start going to more towards a nightly live stream. I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. I took the past month to really kind of assess kind of where this channel's at. It's been growing very steadily, but actually it's been going more than steady. It's been growing at a great rate. We're already in the 4,000s after 1 year, which, by the way, our 1 year anniversary happened about a week ago, and I never even mentioned it. So either way, happy 1 year to the channel. Everyone, I do appreciate you coming along for the ride in this past year. But where it's funny how this channel has kind of just grown. I remember I was making videos on my phone. I was filming them with my phone. I was editing them on my phone. I was doing everything. I didn't have my iPad. I didn't have my computer at the time. All I had was my phone. If you ever want to start a YouTube channel, this is all you need. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, it's a pain in the butt, but using a phone, I did it for 6 months with an iPad and a computer. You can start a YouTube channel if you want on just an iPhone. It's a pain in the butt, but you can do it. So, but either way, it's just funny how this channel has just kind of progressed, you know, and what's been going on lately with this channel, what's been working with this channel are the live streams. With the playoffs, we gained about 1,000 subscribers during those few weeks of the playoffs. The live streams were really working out. The trade deadline, the live stream that went extremely well. We got like 100 subscribers that one night. And then we got 100 subscribers the next night talking about the trade deadline and all the moves that had happened. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with this channel. Personally, for me, it's just easier for me to set up. I like the live aspect of it. I like, you know, doing the whole intro thing. I don't know. I just like it. I like the live stuff. I am still going to do some pre-recorded videos here and there. But I will say, as a teacher, you know, full time, it gets a little difficult just, you know, working Monday through Friday. I'm already tired as it is. Those kids completely wear me down, and, you know, to sit down and edit videos is a bit of a challenge. You know, I use my weekends a lot, which, you know, again, I like doing it, but it just gets very tiring over time. So the live streams, they're just so much easier to set up. They're so much easier to do for me. And I love talking with all of you. I think it's just, I love the interaction of it. And I just love the idea of a live show. I just feel more natural when I talk to you guys. So, definitely be on the lookout now for live streams. I think Monday through Friday, I think I'm going to start going live maybe like 8 o'clock or 8:30. Even if it's just like a short stream, nothing crazy, maybe like talk about one or two things. But yeah, and if I don't go live, if I know I'm not going to be able to go live that night, I'll let you know ahead of time. But that's kind of where I'm at with this channel right now. There's not really many other YouTube. First off, there's not really many YouTube baseball channels out there, but there's definitely not really many that have like a live show every single night. Like you have, you know, Talking Baseball with John Boy. They have their podcast, but do they go live? Like, or do they just post their podcast? I'm not really. I think they go live on Patreon. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I don't really know how they do it exactly, but but Giraffe Neck Mark, he doesn't do anything live. Fuzzy does the baseball news, but he doesn't do it live. He puts it all together and he posts something every day. So, Mark does Twitch, but yeah, Mark's more, I think he focuses more on like video games, right? But yeah, either way, for me, where I'm kind of looking at with this channel is, this is kind of the thing that I think could set this channel apart, is a live show. And Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock or 8:30, I'll come up with a time, whatever works for everyone. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with this channel, everyone. It seems like for the most part, I've been seeing what you guys are saying. Jordan Jones, appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much. But it seems like that's where you guys are at too. I like the hangout part of it, and I just like giving the news. I just feel more natural doing it. So it just feels better. But most importantly, it's better on the time. That's the best part about it, is it doesn't take me very long to set up. And yeah, so, but anyway, enough of me rambling. I'm just rambling on and on. But everyone, that is all I have for tonight. I appreciate you all coming out tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Sounds pretty good to me. Hopefully something happens tomorrow, and we can talk about it right here. So everyone, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Again, go check out How to Fix the Phillies if you haven't seen it already. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you next time.